Welcome to the Earn More, Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Sison. This podcast is for self-employed business owners just like you, who really want to grow their business and become successful and profitable, but without all the stress and hassle. I want to share my 30 years of business experience to show you how simple it can be to earn more money and how you can get organised without needing a business degree or any other qualifications. I'll be talking about the easy steps that you can put in place right now to start earning more money today and to help you get the business that you deserve and dream of. Without further ado, let's get started. This week's podcast is sponsored by Pocket PA, helping self-employed business owners to get organised, understand their finances and do their accounts all in one place using a powerful online tool. If you're serious about making a profit and having a successful business, then using a simple digital web app like Pocket PA is the best way to grow and scale your business. Visit pocketpa.com for more details and start managing your money like a pro today. Hello, thanks so much for joining me again for another episode of Earn More, Stress Less. We had such great feedback last time when we had our guest on, Matt Boyles, so I've invited him back again because he's an expert in what I want to talk about this week. So this week, our topic subject is around how self-care isn't selfish, and with Matt being in the health, fitness and wellness industry, I thought he'd be the perfect guest for us to talk about self-care and exactly why it isn't selfish and why it needs to be a really integral part of our day-to-day routine when you're a self-employed business owner. We all want to stress less when we're earning more money, and this week I really want to talk about the different ways that we can do just that by looking after ourselves with self-care. Apologies for a rather croaky voice on my behalf. I hope you still really enjoy this episode with Matt and I.
So Matt, welcome. Thanks again for coming back on with us. How are you?
Caro, it's a joy and a delight to be here. Thank you for having me back. I'm very well indeed.
That's so good. So self-care for you, what does self-care mean for you and how do you incorporate it into your daily and weekly life and work-life balance?
Good question. So first of all, the term itself has almost got a bit of a bad reputation recently. I think with the pandemic, it was almost forced down people's throats about self-care this, self-care that. And I think it's at the heart of a fitter, confident you. So I didn't need to crowbar my brand in there. What it means for me is just finding whatever works for you that feels good, that helps you feel good and helps and lifts you up and lights you up, all of those lovely things. And it will absolutely look different for everyone. Obviously, I am in this industry, so I'm closer to it. And I have spent the last 15 years developing and looking at what works for me. But there are loads of different general rules that will apply to anyone that we can talk about in a sec. But the most important thing, like when you say about self-care isn't selfish, I think is to take it another step. It's not only that it's not selfish, it's crucial. Like finding time for yourself in some way, especially as a business owner, is the most important thing you can do. And I know as business owners, we often move ourselves to the bottom of the list. Oh, we've got to see our family, we've got to look after the business, got to do this, that, and then we get to the end of the day and there isn't any time for us left. So we eat, we grab something to eat quickly, we veg out on the sofa, and there's no shame or shade in any of this. I've done all of these things. We sleep badly because we're checking our phone late, all of these things. It's like I don't want to say I'm going to say downward spiral. Doesn't mean it can't be stopped, which is what we're going to talk about today, but it can just be or maybe sort of a negative hamster wheel that's just going round and round and you're not feeling inspired or have the energy you want to do or be the person you really want to be. But it's crucial. The more, here's the flip side of what I'm trying to get across. The more you find time for yourself, the more good things you can do for yourself, the fitter, stronger, healthier, happier, more confident you are. And that means you show up more often as the business owner that you want to be, as the partner, son, daughter, friend, wife, relative, great aunt to anyone. You're there more often for the people who need you. That is what that unlocks. So finding that rhythm for yourself isn't selfish, it's crucial.
And I think as a self-employed business owner, when you work by yourself for yourself, there is just one of you and you are stretched so thinly across so many areas. You are the CEO, the HEO of your company, doing everything. You're front facing, back facing, or side facing, you're the buffers as well. So everything is down to you when you are self-employed working for yourself. And I think a bad day can escalate very quickly into a bad day, a bad week. It just seems to be on a roll sometimes. And I think sometimes we have to press that pause and just step back and think, whoa, I am the business. And unless I'm looking after me, there is no way that I'm going to be able to keep, producing an income and being able to keep showing up and doing all of those things. Self-care is a bit of a cliche these days. And like you say, after COVID, we have talked about self-care a lot more. But I think that there are two aspects to self-care. I talk about, or certainly think about in my head, the self-care, the physical, practical things that you can do, but also the emotional and the mental health side of things, because self-care has got two aspects to it, and they both have to dovetail into each other. Can you sort of talk a little bit about the practical things that might sort of fall into that self-care category? Certainly, obviously, exercise is one of those. Do you put a lot of emphasis on sleep and diet and nutrition as well as those things of self-care?
Yeah, I do, absolutely. And actually, sleep is often what unlocks it for people. But often people go into anything new or when they try to fix or improve things, thinking of it in a binary situation, but it isn't. If you're not sleeping as well as you could be or want to be, look at improving it by 1%. What tiny thing can you do that will contribute over time to you feeling better? Because when you are more rested, that's when you're obviously more energy, you think clearer, you last better during the day, but also you'll be better at setting boundaries. And setting boundaries is also so important, and making sure if you've got something for you in the diary, whether it's a walk, just a lunch break, a gym session, anything, that you stick to it and don't let other ones, time vampires, suck the time out of your day. Because that's like, obviously sometimes, especially as entrepreneurs, we need to jump and make things happen, and we do have particularly busy days, but you want that to be a blip, not the trend. So if you're more rested, and also if you have been exercising a bit more, you generally feel more self-confidence, resilience, like self-esteem. And again, it's easier to set those boundaries when you feel more grounded in yourself. So always look at where the pinch points are for you. Are you getting enough sleep? And now, again, there's been loads of talk about this recently. It isn't about you've got to get 8 hours. It's definitely a spectrum. Some people need less, some people need more. Invest, like I always say this to clients, see yourself as your greatest experiment. Like, do tests, see if a bit less sleep actually works for you better, because we sleep in these 90-minute cycles, apart from the last one, which is about 2 hours. So maybe actually you're more tired because you're going into that next sleep cycle and then waking up mid, as opposed to if you were to wake up slightly earlier, you'd be at the top of your lightest zone of the sleep cycle, the one before. Like, there are all these different reasons why you don't just have to do as much as possible for it to be the best thing for you. Find what works for you, test and learn. Like some top sleep tips though, make your room slightly cooler. Whether that's a fan or whether it's in winter, like having the heating and not a degree or two cooler. Your body naturally cools down when you sleep. So if your temperature is elevated, it can be harder to sleep, or you'll wake up more often. Obviously, don't drink, like sip water through the day, but don't down a pint of water before bed, because you don't want your sleep interrupted. Your restorative, precious sleep, we don't want it interrupted by needing a wee. Blackout blinds, a routine before bed can make a big difference, whether it's reading or whatever works for you. No screens for like at least an hour if possible. Like all of these things. So 1% you better. They don't 100% you better. They couldn't, but 1% better compounds over time and is easy to stick to. Start with the sleep. Go from there if you're really lacking energy.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip. I think sleep is such a restorative process, and we really underestimate how much it can actually really be a game changer for our mental health as well.
There was that nonsense in the 80s about Margaret Thatcher took 4 hours of sleep a night. Like, good for her, but it's that A, I don't believe it, and B, imagine if she took 6, she could have been even worse on her terms.
The Joe Schmo does need more, and we can't deprive ourselves, because that does really impact our day and our ability to be resilient. So the other self-care thing, which I think we are always so busy at, is we're self-employed and we are doing everything. It's difficult to always cook from scratch and get out and get all the shopping and the ingredients and that sort of thing. And I know that that's an area that a lot of people just move into fast food and processed, takeaways, those sorts of things. Do you think that they can really impact your sort of wellness massively, or is it really not a game changer to have to cook everything from scratch and be doing all your own cooking and stuff? How do you view that?
Again, that can feel like a binary. Oh, I've got to go from eating purely ready-made or things I buy to, oh, I've got to cook everything. So start with cooking and diarize it. Like, look at your week and say, okay, when am I slightly quieter? When could I cook for myself? And also choose a recipe you're going to like that you'll look forward to cooking. Maybe like the play to your strength. I also work with your human nature. So play to your strengths. What do you like to eat? What do you like to cook? What's going to be simple and quick? Can you buy the ingredients in advance? Can you prep the recipe? So you know what you're doing? And if you know you're going to like it, it isn't actually a stretch to make double or triple the amount. Like, batch cooking doesn't take any longer than cooking. Cooking 4 meals doesn't take really any longer than cooking 1 meal. So if you know you like it, make 3 more, chuck them in the freezer or the fridge if they'll keep in the week. And you've got that stuff. And the point about that is, you know what you're eating, you know what's in it, it's good stuff. And again, I eat ready meals and things like in a pinch sometimes. I don't cook everything from scratch because we're not, we don't have chefs and we're not Hollywood A-listers who have everything prepared for us by, I don't know, virgins in Nepal or something who do it all, everything organic. But small steps like that. But another really good tip is, Caro, you're well into your health and fitness. You've probably heard about Huel, but it's really good. You don't necessarily need to have it every day. So Huel is short for human fuel. Huel, it's a portmanteau. And
Huel.
Yes, and you can buy it as a ready mix. And it's okay. So their goal is to feed the world, and it comes originally as a powder, so it looks like a protein shake, and there's a decent whack of protein in there. It's vegan blend, so it's all vegetable blends. There's loads of good stuff in it. You can buy it, and then you just take it in a shaker and you mix it with water, and it's a meal in a drink. So it's not a meal. Well, technically it's a meal replacement, but it's not used for dieting. So if you know you've got a meeting or back-to-back meetings, you've only got 5 minutes for lunch, grab a Huel, and you can buy it pre-mixed now in supermarkets. And it's great because like so many people I think still have opinions of like shakes from the 80s, like Slim Fast and things like that, which were dodgy. Not necessarily they're dodgy now, but like I think when they started, they tasted badly. Who knows what was in them? Huel is great, and it is doing brilliantly, and it is contributing to feeding people cheaply in developing countries too. So it does good at the same time. They call their fans Hueligans. I'm a Hueligan.
I love that. And I think one of the things that we have sort of this, there is this Instagram show reel where everybody is living this perfect lifestyle and that everybody's eating on point. They're all cooking from scratch. They're getting, 8 hours sleep a night. They're doing their workout with their personal trainer or whatever it is. I think we also, for our own self-care, need to let ourselves off the hook and actually recognize that is not real. And we all live in real life, and life is chaotic. Life is messy. Nobody has it all right. We've all got stuff going on. We've all got life admin. We've all got, various factors, family dynamics and children, relationships, all of those things into the mix. So we aren't going to be eating on point every single day. We're not going to be getting that exact number of sleep. We're not going to be out doing our workout at 6 a.m. every morning. And that's totally fine. And we need to let ourselves off this hook and realize that self-care can be in small doses. We don't have to do sort of a big workout, a brisk walk for 10 minutes, when you can't work out in, is perfectly good enough and adequate. We don't need to be setting a really high bench for ourselves that we're never going to fulfill or that isn't sustainable to actually the busy business life, etc. Is that your sort of take on things?
Absolutely. But I'd even soften it even a bit more. I'd say self-care is also not pressuring yourself to do that 10 minutes of walking if you really don't have time. It should, but ideally it will never feel like another thing on your to-do list, because then it's a chore and you'll resent it, and you won't have that warm, that sort of growing relationship with it. But if you do test and learn and find things you like, and give yourself that grace that if you are so busy, you're just so busy, and that's okay. But don't think it's ruined. Just get back to it when you can and pick things up. And actually, I came up with, I'm really proud of this, a business analogy that I think lands really well in terms of how to do it. So, Caro, have you read or listened to the book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz?
It's been on my radar. It might be on my bookshelf here, but I haven't done it in the last 12 months, Matt. Just give us a recap.
So Profit First actually was the greatest bit of financial training I've ever had. And it says have different accounts for all your different things. So I have a tax account. I always put like 25% of my earnings straight in there that I don't touch. So peace of mind, I know I've always got my tax bill covered. And it's got like operating expenses, with the other ones, owner compensation and profit. And the point is, pay yourself first, because we always make it work. There's a Parkinson's law that says you basically work either time-wise or resources-wise with what you've got. So if you pay your bills first and do all the other stuff that needs to go out, there won't be anything left for you at the end of the month. But if you pay yourself first, you still make it work with what you've got. And we need to pay ourselves first for feelings of that we're actually doing it for a reason and that we're like earning and benefiting from it in some way. So
we're not a charity.
Exactly. And even charities pay themselves. So the analogy is, think of your well-being in profit first terms. Like at the start of the week, prioritize when you're going to do good things for you, because then they're much more likely to happen. But if you wait and go, oh, I'll do it at the end of the day, it won't happen. Like sometimes I meditate fairly regularly. I say, if I go in the morning, oh, I'm starting work, I'm too busy, but it's only 5 minutes, I'll do it later. Spoiler alert, I never do it later, even though it's only 5 minutes. But if I've said I'm going to do it early and I do it, it's done. Same with your workouts, same with walking, same with drinking some water, same with anything good. Prioritize you and get it done first, and then it's done. It's banked for the day.
And so those are some of the sort of practical things that we can do for self-care, and some of the other sort of the emotional and the mental health well-being things that I was going to just suggest that's really important for self-care is how we talk to ourselves in our own heads, and the messaging that we give each other. We often wouldn't say anything out loud to someone in the same way that we might talk or berate ourselves, and we can often be really critical and harsh when it comes to sort of talking to ourselves. And I think that that's a huge thing in self-care, to actually be kinder to ourselves in how we talk to ourselves, and also the aspect of getting moral support and help when we need it as well, because we can't be all things to all people, and we aren't an island, and we do need to reach out and do that. So I think one of the things when you do work by yourself, for yourself, it can be very isolating. So how do you combat that aspect? I know in the last podcast, you talked a little bit about having boundaries with your clients and not making them all of your friends, which can then sometimes drain you. But how do you get back into that sort of space where you can actually ask for help from other people and you can support yourself for your own sort of mental well-being? What do you do on that aspect, Matt?
I would say to anyone that it starts with baby steps. Starting with small things that you believe you can fit into your day, into your week, that for you will help you feel good. In terms of asking for help, sometimes I think it takes people doing a little bit for themselves before they feel able to. But obviously, the sooner, that shouldn't be the case. The sooner you can reach out to someone, most people are going to help you in some regard, in whatever you need, whether that is working with someone specifically or just asking a friend for an ear or someone, to listen to you for a second. I know that the more that I have got into that routine, though, the more assured I've been in myself, but also the happier I've been to ask for help, the happier I've been to reach out and be vulnerable and step out of my comfort zone and go, I don't know how to do this, or I'm not comfortable with this, or I'm struggling. And I know the biggest irony is the people who maybe are struggling more find it harder to speak up more, and the people who need the help and the support. So I guess that also comes back to the analogy of the leaky roof. If there's a hole in your roof, don't wait till it rains to fix it, because while you're fixing it, it'll still be raining in. The sooner you can fix it, the sooner you can make sure it's fixed before it rains next time. That's what all of these little things add up to do. They fix your leaky roof. They ensure that should it rain, you're better supported. And it will rain. We all have those times where we're not feeling great, low energy, low mood, something goes wrong. Worse things happen. This is life. This curveballs happen all the time. But the more priority, the more you can choose to do those little good things for yourself. And like you said, it could be as small as shutting your eyes for 2 minutes and just focusing on your breathing for a lovely, calming moment. It could be setting a boundary that says every Thursday I'm going to close my laptop at 5:30, and that's it. Like, these are things that we can easily, well, I say easily, we can start to do. They might not be easy at first, but they get easier and they really, really compound.
So it's about creating good habits, having routines, those sorts of things, would you say?
Very much so. Habit, underpins so much of this, because like any action of self-care can be as automatic as brushing your teeth. Don't fall out. We just do it. Like all of those other things I mentioned, drinking more water, going for a walk, a little bit of workout, meditation, any of those things that feel right for you can be as automatic as brushing your teeth. But equally, if you remember, when you were a kid, you did forget to brush your teeth, and that's fine because you were still learning and remembering to do it, and your parents had to remind you, and that's okay. And the flip side of that, as an adult, if you forget to brush your teeth or you're drunk or whatever, like, that's fine. You just brush your teeth the next day. You don't go, oh no, it's ruined, may as well never brush my teeth again. No, just brush your teeth the next morning. Like, same with all of this. It isn't ruined. Just pick it up again when you can.
Pick it up and then run with it again. And one of the other things I certainly have noticed this year, for me, self-care has been about spending time in supportive communities. So it's not endlessly scrolling and doing that sort of comparisonitis on your Instagram or your Facebook, but actually spending time and building relationships in a community to get that sort of support and community vibe and feeling. Because I think when you are solo working for yourself, it can seem like Groundhog Day, and it is important that you actually make that effort to reach out and connect with people sharing similar experiences. So that for me is a really vital self-care part of my journey that I find really valuable. And I've loved being in a community with you this year, Matt, because it's about sharing everybody's wins as well, and noticing when people are having a bit of a downer and sort of just checking in with them. And I think that that's really important, that you have some touch points and some colleagues and different people that you can lean on, because you don't always want to take this back to your family or your friends. They may not understand in that same way the things that you actually need for your self-employed journey. So having like-minded other self-employed community people or masterminds or groups like that, or even having a coach or a mentor that you could tap in with. I think it's important that you have these touch points, because I think that that's really, that's in no way selfish, investing in yourself and doing that self-care. So that's so good. Thank you, Matt, so much. You've shared so many really valuable tips, and I really hope our listeners have been able to take away things that they could bring in. How could people get in touch with you if they want to find out more about you and your journey, Matt, and work with you?
Thanks, Caro, and thank you for having me as well. Actually, just before I talk about social media, one more thing I do want to say. Unfollow all the people who make you feel crap. Like, you can curate a much more supportive, motivational timeline. No one's saying you've got to leave it, but if you want to leave it, do. But like, I've got some tough love here. If you're seeing things that are making you feel crap on your timeline, it's mostly, okay, there's the algorithm, but it's mostly because you chose to have it there. So flip side, you can choose to get rid of them. And I spoke to some clients about it, and they were like, oh, I feel bad about unfollowing them. What? The Instagram model who's got 500,000 followers who didn't even know you were following him in the first place. Unfollow the heck out of those people that make you feel crap. You're better than that, and you don't deserve it.
I love that last minute one you slid in there. No, that's a great thing, because we do all get caught up and we have this comparisonitis, and that is no good at all for self-care. That just really wrecks your whole mindset. So yeah, I love that you just spotted and put that in. Thank you, Matt. So where do they find you?
Yes, I promise never to make you feel crap on social media. I only post uplifting motivational tips and support and things to inspire and make you laugh. So Fitter You Global, FITTERYOU Global, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's the same handle across those three.
That's perfect. Matt, thank you so much again. It's been a delight chatting with you. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And I hope everybody has enjoyed today's podcast. And I will catch up with you again next week. So make sure you're earning more and, of course, stressing less.
Thanks for listening to the Earn More, Stress Less podcast with me, Caro Sison. If you've enjoyed this week's episode, then do hit subscribe so we can catch up again soon. And please kindly leave a review if you've got a moment, and share with anyone else that you think this podcast could help on their self-employed journey. If you're ready to make bigger breakthroughs in your business life and want to get way more organised and understand your finances the really simple way, then start your very own 14-day free trial today using the super powerful software tool Pocket PA that I made for my own son and daughter. Go to pocketpa.com/podcast and let's get you on the way to earning more money and stressing much less. Have a great week, whatever you're doing.